Do you recognize what's depicted in those? Are they true, fair, and accurate depictions of Mr. Shakur after his death?
Never before seen photos and video connected to the investigation of the unsolved crime of Tupac Shakur has been released. Media includes crime scene photos of the car he was traveling in and grisly footage from his autopsy, which has been shown to the grand jury as evidence.
The Tupac court case, which began in 2023, has made public prior unseen material related to the case. Content has been provided to the courts as evidence and also shown to the grand jury. One piece of media which has not been made public but has been shown to the grand jury includes footage of Tupac's autopsy taking place. The viewing of the autopsy in court has been made available online, being only through transcripts documenting the viewing. A book by Kathy Scott in 1997 had published one of the photos, which had then sparked a criminal investigation into Tupac's autopsy. The investigation had found that numerous parties, including the police, had been capturing footage of Tupac's body in the morgue. The police put forward several excuses, such as to use the footage in police training exercises. Biggie's autopsy was also found to have been recorded, which had then been published in the 2001 PBS series Frontline. The former detective of the Biggie case, Russell Poole, had co-written a book called Chaos Merchants, where a more sinister motive was put forward as to why Biggie's autopsy was recorded. The book claimed that a cop who had been listed as a defendant in a lawsuit against the LAPD by Biggie's family had been found as signing into the morgue where Biggie was kept. Passages in the book state the cop had most likely gone to the morgue to confirm the hit. This furthers the speculation of police involvement in the cases, which the trial has now been postponed for to investigate. The photo in Kathy Scott's book, which was the only one to become public, had been investigated to reveal that 9 different people, including cops, had been suspected of capturing media in the morgue of Tupac's autopsy. In this video, we are going to take a look into the investigation which had taken place into the people who secretly leaked Tupac's autopsy. A former shot caller for the Southside Compton Crips, Dwayne Keith Davis, had been arrested in September of 2023 in relation to the case of Tupac. It had taken over 5 years to bring charges against him since his first public appearance for a 2018 TV series by BET. He had gone on the program claiming to have been involved in the Tupac case. He had been under the impression that he could freely discuss his alleged involvement in the case due to a prior immunity agreement he had in 2008. Davis was given a proffer agreement in 2008 after being set up in a sting operation by a government task force. The task force had been set up to remove police involvement in an unsolved case of Biggie. This covered the claims of the former detective Russell Poole in relation to the autopsy photo of Biggie, as Keith Davis was reported as having a relationship with Biggie's label boss Puff Daddy. He was seen as a person of interest in the case. He had then been set up in a sting operation by the task force and had been offered a proffer agreement. A proffer agreement gives a person immunity to discuss crimes, but only acts within the limitations of the agency and the suspect. Davis claimed to have had no involvement in the Biggie case, but had claimed to have been behind Tupac's case. Davis alleged to have been offered $1 million by Puffy in 1996 to be contracted to take out Suge Knight and Tupac. Orlando Anderson, Keith Davis's nephew and fellow Southside Compton Crip, had been pictured in surveillance footage as being in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, being in September of 1996. Orlando Anderson months prior had attempted to snatch the chain of Suge Knight's pyro associate Trayvon Lane. Trayvon Lane had also have been in Las Vegas at the time. The Compton mob Pyrus, who acted as Suge Knight's enforcers, had been with Tupac and Suge Knight in Vegas. Trayvon Lane had spotted Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand, to which he was then jumped by the entourage. Keith Davis in his confession had claimed that a 118 East Coast Block Crip had broken the news to him. He claimed to have been in the Rainforest Cafe in the MGM Grand, where the Crip had approached him and told him Tupac and them had just jumped Orlando Anderson. In his confession, he claimed to have then met up with Puffy's associate, Eric Zip Martin, who had been the person who had introduced him to Puffy. Davis claimed while in the parking lot of the MGM Grand, Zip was alleged to have given him a Glock for retaliation. He further claimed Zip had known about the $1 million bounty and told him it was the perfect opportunity to claim it. Davis in his confession had claimed a 2-car convoy had then travelled to Suge Knight's associated club, Club 662. Compton mob Pyru mob James, who had been working on the door of 662, claimed in the BET series to have seen the Crips pull up outside. Davis claimed after the Crips had waited there with no show of Tupac or Suge Knight, they had then split up and left. Davis claimed to have gotten in a white Cadillac, with him naming the driver as Southside Compton Crip Terrence Brown, with fellow Crips DeAndre Smith and Orlando Anderson in the back seat. While traveling on the streets of Las Vegas, Davis claimed to have seen Tupac hanging out the sunroof of Suge Knight's BMW. He claimed the Crips had then rolled up on them, to which he had handed the Glock from Zip to Orlando Anderson, who had then carried out the crime. Keith Davis's confession had been secretly recorded and released in a 2015 documentary by LAPD cop Greg Kading. Davis had then been under the belief that he could openly discuss the crime. This breached a proffer agreement, leading to his arrest in September of 2023. Prior unseen material had been given to the courts. This included extended surveillance footage from the night, along with crime scene photos of the BMW. Further media had been provided to the grand jury, which had come from Tupac's autopsy. The grand jury had been shown 10 autopsy photos of Tupac. Some included close-ups of the injuries sustained by Tupac. The court brought in a witness, being a cop who had overseen the autopsy. Court transcripts revealed discs had been played for the witness, which contained media of Tupac's body in the morgue. Further autopsy photos had been linked to 9 people in an investigation. Footage from news crews outside the hospital had captured the coroner's van arriving to pick up Tupac's body. Tupac's mother had been captured on camera being seen running away in grief. Afeni had made the decision to take Tupac off of life support after he had been revived numerous times by the doctors. After the coroner had been contacted following the decision, Tupac's body had then been transported from the ICU to the coroner's van. The van had then transported Tupac's body to the Clark County Coroner's Office in Nevada. Kevin Manning, a former sergeant of the Las Vegas Police, had been brought in to testify about the Tupac autopsy being in the court case of Keith Davis. Manning revealed in court that he had been called by Ron Flood, who had been an employee of the coroner's office. The cop had been informed about the coroner collecting Tupac's body and claimed to have been told that due to the amount of fans who were coming into Las Vegas and visiting the hospital, they decided to carry out the autopsy that evening. Kevin Manning had then gone to the coroner's office to oversee the autopsy. The transcripts display that the autopsy had been carried out by Dr. Jordan. Robert Jordan was a doctor and pathologist with the Clark County Coroner's Office in 1996. The Clark County Coroner's Office issued a report stating that Tupac had passed away from respiratory failure due to internal injuries. Tupac's autopsy reports had also been tied into the Tupac is alive theories, being due to mistakes made in a report about Tupac's personal details. Tupac's social security number had also not been registered in the official death index. The autopsy report listed Tupac's height and weight as 6 feet 215 pounds, whereas his driver's license read 5'10", 168 pounds. During Tupac's autopsy taking place, numerous people had captured photos of it, which had then been leaked to author Kathy Scott. The National Enquirer was offering a $100,000 reward for anyone who could capture photos of Tupac's body in the morgue. The photo, which we cannot show here, had been released in a 1997 book by Kathy Scott. The Internal Affairs Bureau of the Las Vegas Police Department had launched an investigation into how the autopsy photo had been leaked to Kathy Scott. The photo, which had surfaced in the book, investigators claimed was not an official coroner or police photo. It was discovered that upward of 10 more photos existed, which had been taken officially. The photo given to Kathy Scott, however, had been taken unofficially, with the suspect being unknown. Charges for taking a photo could be created due to the National Enquirer's offer of $100K. It is unknown whether or not Kathy Scott had paid for the photo to include it in her book, and she did not disclose to the police who had provided it. The Las Vegas PD's investigation had been seeking to press embezzlement charges against whoever had captured the specific photo leaked to Kathy Scott. The police put forward if it was discovered that county property had been being used by morgue employees to capture the photo, then charges of embezzlement could be applied, being for using county property to capture the photo and profit from it. Although at least 9 employees of the Vegas police and the Clark County Coroner's Office had been questioned, no one had been charged due to lack of evidence. The investigation had ended just after a month's time, as the Las Vegas police couldn't find enough evidence to charge one of the 9 employees. Kathy Scott had claimed in a 2001 TV show on BET that she had included the photo due to interest and because of the rumors of Tupac still being alive.
How did it come that you published Tupac's autopsy in your book?
The autopsy photo?
Yeah.
It was leaked to me, and because of the mainstream articles about him faking his own death, we went ahead and made a decision to include it in the book.
These same rumors of him still being alive had further been tied into the photo included in the book. They were in regards to Tupac's Machiavelli neck tattoo, which looked faded or missing in the photo. After passing, however, tattoos due to pooling and other factors can become a subject of discoloration. The theory had gone as far as saying that this footage of Tupac being prepped for a scene in the movie Bullet, which showed his neck being covered in makeup, had been the source for the leaked image. Chris Carroll, the responding officer of the Tupac incident, confirmed the Tupac autopsy photo in Kathy Scott's book is real. He claimed most do not believe it's real, as it shows Tupac with a swollen head and Y incision, which opens up the torso in autopsies. Chris Carroll had claimed the Vegas police had caught heat from their superiors due to the leak of the photo, but hadn't explained why. This could indicate it had been one of the police photos which had been leaked to Kathy Scott. The investigation into the Kathy Scott photo had revealed that 2 general assignment officers had captured numerous photos of Tupac's body in the morgue. Vegas police claimed, however, that these were not the same photos which had been leaked. The investigation claimed that officers had told them that the photos had been taken for them to then be used in a police training exercise. They claimed to have then destroyed the photos. The Keith Davis court case had one of these officers who had captured the photos to provide witness testimony, which we looked into. The transcripts provide further detail of the police involvement in capturing the autopsy photos. Kevin Manning, one of the general assignment officers, claimed to have travelled to the coroner's office with officers Brent Becker and Mike Franks. Kevin Manning claimed a crime scene analyst had also been at the coroner's office to document the autopsy. The transcripts reveal it was the Las Vegas Metro Police's responsibility to be the major documenters of Tupac's autopsy through photography. The transcripts reveal the witness is then shown a CD which contains media from Tupac's autopsy. The witness confirms the media contains true, fair and accurate depictions of Tupac after passing. The transcripts reveal that the photos which had been captured by the crime scene analyst of Vegas PD had been captured prior to Tupac's autopsy taking place. They read there had been overall photos taken of Tupac prior to any medical or autopsy actions taking place on the body. The photo which was shown in court to the witness and grand jury displayed a full body shot of Tupac from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. Further photos displayed a close-up of the gunshot wound which had been fatal. The transcripts reveal his other injuries had been photographed, such as a wound to his right hand which was believed to have blown off his finger. Kevin Manning, the police witness, claimed in the transcripts that it was most likely not the coroner's office who had captured any photos, as it was the responsibility of Vegas PD. As the Vegas police investigation into the coroner's office had found no evidence against employees of the office, but did determine that the police had taken photos, Kathy Scott had most likely have been leaked the photo through the police. This would explain why Chris Carroll had claimed that the department had been disciplined for the leak. However, the transcripts in court claim that the police photos had been taken prior to the autopsy taking place. The photo in Kathy Scott's book had showed the aftermath of the autopsy. The investigation into the leaked photo found that only people proven to have captured photos were 2 general assignment officers at the autopsy. The transcripts from the court case revealed the autopsy had been completed the same day as Tupac's passing on the 13th. The reason for the speedy service the transcripts claim had been due to the amount of fans and people coming into Las Vegas to support Tupac. Within a 24-hour period, Suge Knight had the Davis Funeral Home contacted in order to arrange a same-day cremation. The usual wait time for cremation in the United States can be up to 2 weeks. Suge claimed through the request of Afeni he had put up $3 million for a same-day cremation to take place. Suge claimed the person carrying out the cremation had been able to retire off the amount he put up. Tupac's body had been transported from the Clark County Coroner's Office to the Davis Funeral Home for it to be carried out. The Davis Funeral Home had been contacted by the media at the time, where a spokesperson had spoken on the service in saying, quote, "The family had private services Saturday, and it was the wishes of the family that nothing be done. It's done and over with, there will be nothing more. The family doesn't want us to say anything else," unquote. The location of Tupac's cremation has been speculated, as an archival footage website published what is claimed to be footage of Tupac's body arriving at the crematorium. However, it is listed as being the Angelus Funeral Home in Los Angeles, being before the cremation had taken place. The footage shows a blue casket which claims to be containing Tupac, with his cremation then taking place soon after. Compton cop James Green, who worked security for Suge Knight's label, had been in police reports as transporting Tupac's ashes from the Davis Funeral Home in Las Vegas, then back to Los Angeles for them to be scattered.
Do you happen to know what happened to Tupac's remains?
Yeah, cremated.
And then what happened?
His mother took them to a park in LA and scattered them in a very small ceremony with friends and family.
Well, my understanding is that a Compton police officer named James Green transported the ashes, who was working for Death Row
He
Records.
picked them up from Davis Mortuary at about 3 o'clock that afternoon on Saturday and hit the plane and drove back to...
According to LAPD,
Tupac's group member Young Noble had claimed that Tupac's memorial had taken place in California. This could have been the scattering of his ashes which his mother had carried out in a California park. In Tupac's song Black Jesus, released after his passing, he claimed his last wishes were to have his ashes smoked. Young Noble revealed in an Art of Dialogue interview that Tupac's memorial had taken place in Malibu in California. He claimed from there some of his ashes were then transported back to Tupac's Calabasas mansion, where they had fulfilled his wishes by smoking them. The cremation ceremony has been linked to 3 different locations. One claims to come with footage of the funeral home and casket just prior to it taking place. The cremation was further tied into the Tupac is still alive theories. Michael Nice once claimed to have worked security for Tupac. He pushed the still alive rumors by connecting it into the cremation. He claimed to have been in possession of city records, which revealed nobody with the name of Tupac Amaru Shakur had been cremated in Vegas on September 14, 1996. As the cremator was said to have retired and mysteriously vanished, it only added to the mystery surrounding the case. Both the autopsy and cremation had taken place quicker than usual. Some speculate the quick cremation was to avoid media coverage or to prevent a DNA test from being conducted by his real father. Tupac's real father, Billy Garland, who his mother Afeni had lied to Tupac about, telling him he had passed on when he hadn't, had become part of the cremation theories, arguing it had been carried out quickly to prevent him from getting a DNA test, which would have been able to grant his father a large portion of Tupac's estate. The cremator, much like the autopsy report, had gotten Tupac's height and weight details incorrect. This, in the case of Tupac still being alive, went to the extreme extent of claiming body doubles had been used in the case. As the case surrounding Tupac's autopsy and cremation had many inconsistencies, theories had soon begun to spread that he was still alive. Kathy Scott had claimed this was one of the reasons why she had included the photo in her book.
Because of the mainstream articles about him faking his own death, we went ahead and made a decision to include it in the book. Oh, and that's supposed to be fake too.
The book also became a #1 bestseller due to people's interest in wanting to see the photo. As stated earlier, fans had used a scene from the movie Bullet of Tupac having special effects applied to his neck in claiming it was the source of the autopsy photo which had been manipulated. The transcripts from the court trial questioning the cop revealed jurors had questioned the Tupac is alive rumors. They reveal the jurors questioned the cop on why Tupac was never listed in the official death index, not having a death certificate. The prosecutor did not allow the cop to answer the question, claiming a different witness would provide the answer who was a specialist. The whole Tupac is alive idea had been tied into the 7-Day Theory, being Tupac's final album also called Machiavelli. The theory looks into a series of coincidental listings of numerology in relation to the number 7, which had appeared in Tupac's life leading to his passing. It claims, however, that it had not been coincidental and had been intentionally placed by Tupac for his fans to unveil in finding him still alive. Such examples can be seen in the music video for Toss It Up. The song, which features on the Machiavelli album, had its music video recorded a day prior to the incident which had caused Tupac's passing. In the video, Tupac smashes a mirror, equating to 7 years of bad luck. In the movie Gridlocked, which Tupac had starred in, a menu in a restaurant scene has all the L's inverted, resembling 7s. In the movie Gang Related, Tupac's badge number was 115, equaling to 7 in numerology. Tupac was 25 when he had passed away, equaling to 7. He was documented as passing away at 4:03, equaling to 7. The theory then gets tied into several appearances in music videos, such as in the music video for Scarface's Smile. The song, which features Tupac, had its music video filmed and released in '97. The video, however, features Tupac suspended from a cross, depicting his Machiavelli album cover. Scarface's label had claimed it had been a body double that had been used. In Tupac's video for Wonder If Heaven's Got a Guitar, it opens with Tupac being transported to New Mexico to recover, being dated the day after his passing. He is transported by helicopter to the fictional location of Ruckus, New Mexico, which is his surname spelt backwards. Paige Hemis, an actress who is familiar with Tupac, had carried out an interview at the crime scene where she claimed he had been airlifted by a helicopter away from the scene.
By the time we got here, they were already taking, which now I found out was Tupac, into the helicopter away. He had been shot.
Many people have posted suspected sightings of Tupac. The theory argues he fled to either Mexico or Cuba, where he had joined his auntie Assata Shakur, who had been on the run since 1979. In the opening song of the Machiavelli album, a snippet used from coverage of Tupac's 1994 Quad Studio incident is played, which resembles or sounds as if the reporter says Suge shot me. Keith Davis's trial has been postponed until 2025, as his defense is claiming to be able to provide evidence which alludes to the idea that the hit had came from within Suge's label. Biggie had been at a party for Vibe magazine in Los Angeles in March of 1997. Keith Davis had also have been at the party. Davis reported in his secretly recorded confession that he had briefly approached Biggie at his table to greet him. When the party had been shut down early, Biggie's car when leaving had stopped at a red light, where a car in the next lane had then opened fire into Biggie's SUV. Biggie had been hit 4 times during the incident. Biggie's 911 call had been recorded, which some believe contain his last words on tape.
We're man shot in our car right now.
Biggie had been taken to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, where he was pretty much DOA. From Cedars-Sinai Hospital, Biggie's body had then been transported to the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. The autopsy report, which was leaked after his death, revealed that his wife Faith Evans and mother Valletta Wallace had been the people who had identified his body at the morgue. It further shows the NCIC method of fingerprint classification had also been used to verify his body. The report revealed that officers had also been present for the forensic analysis of the crime. The report lists LAPD Wilshire Division detectives Balderrama and Chavez as being present. It further lists his body was transported by 2 people called Carlos Garcia and Greg Myers. Biggie's autopsy had also taken place within 24 hours, as the report shows it had started 7 hours after his passing. The autopsy report further listed Biggie as being morbidly obese at 395 pounds and had 8 illnesses, mostly in relation to being overweight. It also revealed Biggie had a rod in his left femur from prior surgery due to a car accident. The report revealed that the body at the time of the autopsy had been unembalmed and contained a toe tag and hospital identification bracelet. The report further claimed that photography had been carried out on Biggie's body numerous times. It reads, quote, "Rigor mortis is not present and presumably has been altered/abolished by prior handling during photography and transportation," unquote. It then also reads that photography had been carried out prior and during the time of the autopsy. PBS in the year 2001 had published one of the photos in their series called Frontline in an episode called LAPD Blues. The photo shows Biggie on an autopsy table with medical apparatus resembling intubation still attached to his face. The autopsy report mentions the intubation as it had caused small injuries within Biggie's mouth, which is commonplace with the procedure. The story behind the photo has a darker background, as some investigators had made claims that a corrupt LAPD cop who was alleged to have been involved in the crime had gone to the morgue to identify the body following the hit. Biggie's family, following his passing, had sued the LAPD for $500 million. The lawsuit listed officers of the LAPD as defendants. It had been based on LAPD Detective Russell Paul's evidence, which may have indicated LAPD cops to have been involved in an unsolved crime. Russell Paul had evidence put forward against LAPD Rampart cops David Mack and Rafael Perez, as well as others, being in relation to the case of Biggie. Suge Knight, in a 2018 prison interview with Russell Paul's co-author Michael Douglas Carlin, had claimed the Crips had not been behind the Tupac case and had named cop Rafael Perez instead.
And the sad thing about it, Atlanta wasn't even the shooter, you know? It's said that, but that's not at all. Perez and them was all involved. They were trying to kill me too.
The government task force which had set up Keith Davis in a sting operation, leading to him making a confession, had been set up to counteract the LAPD lawsuit and remove police involvement. Author Randall Sullivan, in a 2017 docu-series by A&E, claimed it could have been possible that Keith Davis had made up his confession.
You have to look at the conditions under which that confession was obtained. I mean, basically the cops, they had him on a fairly big drug beef. With his record, he'd gone away for 15, 20 years, so a way out was telling what happened to Tupac.
The confession had got him out of a 25-year prison sentence at the time. The confession had also provided an official narrative for the Tupac case, to which a different theory had then been created in the Biggie case. The task force to counteract the LAPD theory had then claimed it had been a Piru gang member called Poochie who had been behind the Biggie incident. Suge Knight in his prison interview had claimed it had been the same circle of people involved in both crimes, in relation to him naming Rafael Perez as an alleged suspect in the Tupac case.
And the other thing is for Biggie saying, I'm quite sure if they saw the first one, they would saw the second one, because it's the same circle of people,
It is the same circle.
Yeah.
Suge Knight, in a 2025 prison interview with The Art of Dialogue, claimed to have looked Tupac's shooter in the face and claimed he had worked for Death Row Records, which was Suge's label. Keith Davis's trial has been postponed until 2025 after his defense claimed they may have evidence which would link the orchestration into the former head of security for Death Row. Reggie Wright Jr., the former head of security for Death Row Records, had been listed in court documents by Keith Davis's defense as alleged to have had a hand in the orchestration of the Tupac case. Suge Knight, in his 2018 prison interview with Michael Douglas Carlin, had also named Reggie Wright Jr. in relation to Rafael Perez when claiming it hadn't been the Crips.
Because Perez and Reggie was good friends, and Perez and Sharita and Reg is great friends, and so all those three together was trying to plot.
Reggie Wright Jr. was a former Compton cop who had been hired by Suge Knight in the mid-90s to provide police protection for the label. Reggie Wright Jr.'s house had been raided following the Biggie incident due to his ties into Death Row and the police. No evidence had been discovered which would link him into the LAPD Rampart Division being the suspects in the Biggie case. Suge Knight's ex-wife, however, was found to have been having an affair with LAPD Rampart cop Kevin Gaines during the time. Kevin Gaines had been taken out by a fellow cop 9 days after the Biggie incident. Rafael Perez had been discovered as stealing from the evidence locker in the late 90s, which detectives believe was going to be used to frame the cop who had taken out Kevin Gaines. Perez had then agreed to expose the Rampart corruption scandal for a reduced sentence. It had been one of the worst cases of police corruption in US history. The officers were also found to have been doing off-duty work for people in the entertainment industry. Sharifa Knight claimed Kevin Gaines had employed his fellow cops to provide security for Snoop Dogg. Rafael Perez's former cellmate, Kenneth Boagni, had his testimony suppressed by the LAPD in the Biggie civil trial. The LAPD were fined $1.1 million for suppressing the testimony. Boagni, who shared a cell with Perez for over a month, claimed in court testimony that Perez had told him 5 LAPD Rampart officers were alleged to have been behind the Biggie incident. He claimed to have been told by Perez that Kevin Gaines was alleged to have failed to intercept Biggie's convoy, including Puffy, as Puffy was also supposed to be whacked. A white Toyota Land Cruiser was reported as failing to intercept the convoy just prior to the hit. Boagni had alleged in suppressed court testimony that Perez had told him that death row security were alleged to have been behind the Biggie hit. This is now being put forward in court documents in relation to the case of Tupac in the Keefe D court case, with Keith Davis originally being set up in the prevention of the LAPD theory. Russell Paul's book Chaos Merchants with Michael Douglas Carlin claimed that Rafael Perez was found as signing into the morgue to identify Biggie's body. This could question where the leak of Biggie's autopsy photo had come from, as Tupac's was most likely leaked by cops. In this video, we took a look into the transcripts of the content from Tupac's autopsy, which had been shown in the Keith Davis court case. Photos of the autopsy have been captured by several different people. 10 of the photos have been shown to the grand jury as evidence against Keith Davis. A police investigation revealed 2 cops had captured numerous photos, but they couldn't find a suspect in relation to the photo which had been leaked to Kathy Scott. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, smash the thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and press that bell button so you can get all the future notifications for when I upload. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.